let's talk about building things in your site. So that's what the point of today's call was. The goals or the theme for this month is like expanding your family portal. What kind of things are you guys doing? I think you're both at different spots at SAM, and yet Steve, even though he's been using SAM for several years, you're sort of tiptoeing into family portal.
Yeah, I am, not because of me, partially because of getting all of our staff used to how to use the portal. Okay. And actually the biggest reason is just all of our providers, all of our, of our 150 homes, I would guess maybe, 30% or 40% would be able to pick up on it easily and love having the ability to do things online. Whereas a lot of the other ones that we have been with us for a while, and they're, Ted, they're just more comfortable with paper and all that kind of stuff. So
okay.
I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to ease into it for them. But we use it for all of our new homes. Our new homes coming on, becoming licensed, we do our entire orientation and that procedure through the portal. But just when they're licensed, we aren't doing anything yet with their homes.
Okay. Karen, how do you think your families will respond?
So we fully acknowledge as a staff that most of our families, I think we'd have a portion who will be eager to be uploading docs into SAM and using SAM. Some we will drag to the finish line, and others will not do it. I mean, we have families who can't email documents,
right.
It is what it is. It's just a diverse population. Mm-hmm. If they don't, I think it will be a very small set of people. And we're already using SAM by putting their documents in ourselves right now. Okay. And just so we can be learning how to do it and all just kind of building our team approach with SAM. And that's fine. So if we have to keep doing that for a few families, then we have to keep doing that for a few families.
Yeah. So Steve, your families are, well, and actually this would be for both. Well, no, because adoption, tell me, Karen, for Alliance for Children.
Alliance for Children, right.
Alliance for Children does domestic, maybe international adoption. Mm-hmm. So the process is sort of done after licensing for a family, except for post-adoption reports, right?
And updates.
And
updating their home studies and documents, right.
Right. Okay. But then for Steve, with foster care, you guys are going to be doing consistent placement monitoring, and maybe some other medical administration type things with families. You could potentially be doing that forever online.
Yeah, we do. Our placements require monthly reports, monthly check-ins, medical appointments, all those kinds of things. Yes.
Okay. But I guess you also have to do licensing updates. So when that license, So getting these families that are established into that process is going to be a change for them.
Well, right. That's what I mean. It'd be such a shock to change completely their procedure of what they're used to doing. Some of them for 15 years, all of a sudden, okay, you're not going to do this and email this and do this anymore. You're going to log on here and do it this way. I mean, it really will take a lot, and I don't know. It's a lot to think about. It's hard to determine what would be the easiest way to start. What we wanted to do was start with families, like I said, becoming licensed and doing it on there for them.
Yep.
Because they're used to the portal, and so that would be easy for them to adjust to these things because they're all new. It's just all of the families that have never done it before is the difficult part.
Have you ever pulsed those families?
Ever what?
Pulsed, surveyed them to find out whether or not, just find out how they feel about the situation?
I don't know that we have formally done that, no.
Okay.
It's something I could certainly do. Our case managers know the families very well and could probably just tell me, but you never know. There might be a family that struggles with, even emailing documents, but might still embrace an easier approach overall. Maybe there's a learning curve, but once you get it, it's going to be easier the way you're doing it now, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, are there things in your mind from the both of you that you would like to talk about? If you want to talk about the family portal today, since we're on, that's the theme. That doesn't have to be the theme. We can absolutely use this time for what is most important to you. If we stay on that theme, are there things that you want to talk about? Would you like to build anything today?
So I do have a question. So I've been trying to build like the document checklist for a home study.
Okay.
Sticking to the things that are the same for every state. Because I figure if I can conquer that, then I can add for family state specific checklist. But I don't get how to make that show up for the family.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to drag Steve down because I feel like a real newbie here, but that's my issue.
Yep. So it's the checklist section needs to be triggered. And triggers can be challenging. Do you mind if we jump into your site and look at that?
No, I don't mind at all.
Karen, it is all for children. There we go. Okay, so let's take a peek and see about how we might do it differently. So under checklist configuration, it's under the family. Okay, so all of these are saying that whatever this field is in a section that's sort of based, this section is based on something, maybe the home study, and there are all these fields that are built on the case. So it's saying, you probably want to check in on that because case-based fields for that situation are going to happen one time, right? One time only, and it might be the proper spot. But if you ever have to do it again, it might be put in in a section that's only like that. If you'd ever need these particular fields, which I'm sort of reading them down at the same time, they probably aren't. There probably are one-time deals for that case when that family is joined you for that program. But it's on a section that's not. So the challenge is always like if it's done for a home study and you do it again, right? So the tax return, you need it again for the next home study. If that field was based on the case, is on the case table, it will already be pre-filled when you say, hey, we've got this home study update. There's, we need you to get your tax return again. It's going to look like it's done last year. That's what it'll look like when it's on the case. So this section, does this take us to the section? Great. Actually, that's a case base. I wonder if it's, oh, you actually have, what is this? That all looks, where was I? I was here, the active adoption process, or which I don't know which one I was on. I think I clicked that. The adoption is based on the case. And so where is that field? Sure looks like a case-based field because it's telling us it's a case-based field. And something's not right about that. Why is it not liking that? That's weird. Because it's actually reading them. Oh, okay. Sorry. Now I get it. Even though it's automatically being entered on a case-based field, this section of the table that fits. I think it originally started on the adoption is what I think that is going on. And so it's not triggered. Although I thought, and Steve, I don't know if you want to even correct me, is like, there's something with this that's a little funny because I would think the adoption status is an adoption field. These all look like the adoption table and you've got a case-based field on it.
Okay.
Why is that doing that? Okay, that's what it is. So in your case, it's not around the home study. It actually is that some of these sections down here are really, they are adoption based, but you're putting fields on it that are about the case, which again might be fine. It's only not fine if on the adoption you have something like the birth certificate, and you've got a sibling group. That would need to be on the adoption table because you need a different birth certificate for each child and the way that that child is connected, right? So, but if it is something that you have 10 siblings and you're only going to do that paperwork one time, or that situation that event one time, then it would be fine if it's on the case. The thing is, the case is it's this umbrella, it's a one time. And within your cases, you're always having these mini processes that in my mind they're always repeating, right? The home study repeats, post-adoption reports repeat, background checks repeat. And so you can't use the same table for that. So there just is a different structure where to put it. That is what all of this is telling you, is that they're two different things. You and me might want to look at that individually. Let's talk about your sections. So when you open up sections, you can set them through here, and it looks like you've got them all set.
That's his process. I was trying to do documents because I thought I had to, so that it would show up for the family. So if you go down, so I've been trying up there.
This one here?
Study family documents, right? But I stopped myself from going too far because I wanted to make sure I was doing it right.
You are. And that's what it looks like to me, is it's right. You need a field for them to be able to upload this and to upload. Well, this one doesn't look right, and I'll show you why. I don't know why
that's the date.
So the checklist items are always dates. They are the date that thing was received or completed or submitted, right? It's the date. It's always a date because it's the check mark. It's done, except for a date is, yes, it's done when it's done, right? It's two values in one. It can be linked to a document. And in these situations right here and right here, I can tell, because it says the enter date, that you've actually selected and Sam, in my opinion, shouldn't give you this option, but it does. It's giving you the document upload field itself. And so we will change that. So over here, instead of this, we actually want to choose the financial form because that's a date field. Anytime they've got the enter date, it's the date that we would upload that document and it'd be entered into SAM. But these are always going to be date fields. And it says it here, but you'll miss all of these little light gray hints forever and always because they're just a little bit too small. But it's always a date field. So if you choose the financial form and you select down here the document upload, now this particular one is set up right. Where are we in these document sections? So in this situation also, this opens, it's already set up to open when the home study packet set date is entered, which in my opinion is the day you're communicating to the family that we're ready to do the home study. And that may be precipitated by the application on the first one, the application is done. And for home study updates that are done annually or biannually, it's, 10 months after the home study is completed, we insert a new home study record that says we're sending the home study packet today and saying it's time for your annual renewal. But this is always a date of communication that is happening at the onset of that process, the beginning of the home study process. We're preparing them for that. Over here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fix this because I imagine that this driver's license is here, and we will select the driver's license field here. I'm going to show that to clients because we want that to be open to them. But for a driver's license, they'll just upload it.
Okay.
Where are we? Yes. We still have one more fix right here. Is this one here? This employment letter. And it's interesting. So we've actually got kind of strange dates. Let's look at this one actually, because it's just a funny, but so this is a document upload. In this situation, there are no records. So I'm going to do what probably should have been done at well, we're going to do that now. It's just edit the field type. When there are no values in a field, you can change it. Steve, that's true, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like, oh, no. I take that back. I think that just changed, didn't it? You used to be able to do that, but now you can't do that anymore, if I understand correctly.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it just changed because we haven't done any things in a while, but it definitely, we had to take it away because like the value, the data doesn't stay, and people that don't come often enough sometimes like don't know what's going on, whatever. And it was causing data loss. Well, nobody wants that. I'm going into the list and just taking out that entered. There it is.
I was wondering why it said that there.
And so you're totally following the instructions for adding the field, right? When you add a new item and you create a new field and you type this field title, it will, and then you create a field here, it automatically enters whatever's there. So how that entered got in there to begin with, I don't know. I guess I'm assuming Sam did that, but I don't know why it would do that. Because you chose the document upload up there.
If I check shown for clients for any of those documents, that will appear in the portal.
Yes, all of those checklist items will be shown to clients. That's right.
Okay.
The thing that is the last step to this is, of course, on your family record, you've got to have triggered that checklist section to be presented.
Right. Okay.
Right. So you have to have entered in this situation the new home study record with the home study packet sent date to get these things to pull out.
Okay.
And so like this birth certificate is not listed as yes because you can see it in the list here. And not all of these have documents. These 3 here don't have documents. Or I'm sorry, they don't have documents for download. So we're offering them the autobiography and the financial form. We've actually got the financial form on there twice, so we probably don't need that. There's this, like an upload, a secondary one where I can see it. Sam will make a 2 or a 3 or a 4.
I had an updated form. I must have done it twice. Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and here and disable this field because that's done. And then I think check this off, just X that off because we got the financial form on there twice.
Okay. One
thing you can do too for ease here is like hide the things you're not working on.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I don't know if other people do. Yeah. I hide. Once I'm done with a section, I hide it, but
hide it. So you've got,
I don't know what other people are doing.
The other thing right here is like, once you're going to have one of these that are replicated for the updated home study, right? Like you're going to need that financial form again. You might need this again. I
can have a checklist called home study update documents and have the trigger be update packet sent.
But there's not a need to have an update packet sent, right? Do you have another field that is, there's a home study type field that tells Sam it's the initial or the original home study versus it's a update or a renewal home study.
Yeah, we have that.
So you use that in a criteria here and say, over here, that this is going to open when the home study type equals the home study, right?
Okay.
It's the original home study. So you've got that. And so then this section with the autobiography, because it's probably only done once, is only happening on the original. So you don't need an updated packet sent field. You need a new home study record and you hit, I'm sending that packet today. That is always, Steve, do you have any, I don't know if, I see it super clearly, but it tends to be not super clearly articulated potentially by me. Do you have any thoughts on that process? Because I think your team is doing that with renewal licenses. And
Yeah, but we do, but we don't use the checklist for it. We do them all within actual
Within the record
multi-record
itself.
forms within our system itself. So it's not open to the family at all. It's things that we get from them, and we do all the uploading and everything that needs to be done.
Right. And so what that is like, right, your checklist section has to have a home study record associated with it. So I'm opening this one. This is our original home study. So that checklist section that we just worked on will be available right here now. Right? Home study process. Here's our documents. Right?
Yep.
If I go in here a year later and add a new one, which Sam can do itself, but I tell it it's an updated home study and I've got a new date because we're doing it about a year after we sent the first part, right?
Yep.
That document section will not open. The other sections will, because we haven't done the filters on that, but we're still going to have only one section. So I'm looking at my numbers up here in my find feature in the browser. There's only one section that associates with that original home study.
But what I'm missing on this, Stephanie, is how, because I had the same train of thought when I was building our checklist. And then if you recall, we decided to not do it this way. We decided to just not use the checklist and do them directly through our section.
Mm-hmm. So Steve does them all through here. All his questions are in these, in which these are too. So Karen's are as well. Let me show you.
Right.
Go ahead.
But one of the things that I did, and then we obviously didn't use it, was I did have a section for the home study update, and I had it triggered by something else. So I'm wondering what you mean by how we wouldn't need to do that for the updated home study, like have its own checklist section.
No, you do.
Isn't that what you?
No, you do. You have to have a new record for a new checklist section to open.
No, but I mean a new checklist section altogether, because it's going to have different
things. Right, because you said not to have an update section.
Not to have an update section.
Yeah, my understanding is that you are going to have an update section because it has different fields associated to it.
You will. Yeah, you will. Mm-hmm. Let me see if this does this. This is what I don't actually know, is if the site does this. Instead of home study stage, I'm going to do it on, I don't understand. Sometimes this gives me the fields that I want and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to do this on home study type. And what I'm not sure is if Sam updates checklist sections that are already entered. Doesn't. And even though this hasn't saved, it actually does seem to work quick. Like if I get out of it, it goes through. This, for whatever reason, this part takes forever to save, but it doesn't update this once it's done. What I wanted to enter is just this date. Let's say it was home on force. So we got the financial form done a month after we did the home study, or we got sent the packet. So, right. So now you can visually see that field. And Steve's team comes right into these sections so that it's visible. But see, this is our original home study. That financial form goes to this. And Steve works off this home study, although he doesn't work from like a overview page. He works over here. Because Steve, your families are giving it all to you. They're not doing this online, or they are.
No, they're not. They give them to us and we upload them where they need to go. Right.
So he's coming into like the details page, just because there's all those fields that you're adding on the checklist that are on the home study field. He's just put them all over here. Primarily just document upload fields. So you're sort of excluding, you don't even have the dates, right, Steve?
Yeah, we have some dates, but most of them are documents.
Yeah. It's just that the document is there. But they're linked in here. If we were to go over here on the, sorry, and I'm missing, oh, look, it did fix itself. So it tells you now that this is the original home study. And this process, if I put it on the process also, save. So it actually hadn't saved all the way through. let's go to your home study process. Where is it? Right here. Do you see, I saw this right here, Karen. There was a home study update process where you're sort of remaking it over here.
Yeah.
And you've got this one too. But even like I've added 2 home study records on that family record, and we've got 2 a home study process here and home study process here. And we don't really know for which one it goes to, except for there's this home study packet sent date that sort of says, this is the one for 2022. This is the one for 2021.
Okay.
If I go over here and add that home study type here, okay, it's on there. Let me see if I can send. Okay. It should tell us that over here, and it's not. I don't know why. Like it is have this little like double arrow and go over. These also should be. I feel like that's what this is doing. Let's save that again in there. Okay, so I'm not sure if you feel comfortable with what I'm saying or not, because I feel like something I said misspoke and both of you got confused by what I said.
So if you go down, I don't know why I have 2 home study processes.
This is on the family.
Okay.
This is the family's side. So this is what's been triggered for the family as of this point. And I added 2 home study records, right? Over here, this one and this one, number 1 and number 2. And that section, the home study process section right here, is right now it's set up where it's automatically entered anytime the home study packet sent date. It's not filtered on the home study type must equal home study versus updated home study.
So the processes are really different, which is why I thought I should have different checklists.
Yep. Yep. You absolutely can. Home study type. And so now you're going to have to tell Sam why. In my opinion, okay, so I think we started this by you've got another field on the home study titled updated home study packet. And I think it's the same thing. You're still sending it's a message, and you've got this ability to set a criteria for that. Well, this section only happens when it's labeled as home study, and this updated home study process, right? Right here, we could actually just use the home study packet sent date. It's the same field. It's the same moment in time.
I see what you're saying, because there's a new home study. It's just the type of it is updated. It just still says packet sent. It equals update packet sent because it is an updated home study. It's the second home study in SAM.
Right. And yes, exactly. And right, because I think this thought process is sort of linear like an Excel spreadsheet, and you typically only have 2, maybe 3. So you might have a third home study update number 2. Well, in SAM, you don't have to do it because it goes deep. It goes down. Does that make sense? Like you have multiple records to show that, instead of this like really long Excel spreadsheet that's just flat where you're showing a different date. It really is the same date. It can be. And so I was looking up here in your home study process. Sometimes folks have, there's like this contract and payment received. You're sort of doing that right here as well. There's like, you're sending an updated invoice, you're sending a new packet, that home study packet, that payment sent, you're still doing it there. I think there was a field that's like the home study fee sent date. That's what that is. It's like, or fee received. It's like you're getting that fee in. You can have another date for when it was sent and then it was received. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you're using the same dates here. I imagine that file complete is used up here as well. Yep. So the process is the same. It's just slightly different. You're just generally, in what I understand is it's just some documentation is different. You're not going to do this. You probably don't need these again, but you probably do need these two and a medical form. And maybe you're doing a contract and they're paying for it again. The rate may be different that's being paid for, but you're still going to get payment for that home study. And Steve, I don't know, your folks, do they pay for home studies? No.
Well, occasionally we'll have someone call us to pay for a home study, but no, typically we do them for free.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we're reimbursed through a grant. So.
Right. What else might we talk about? I'm going to go ahead and fix this too, because this is our get it done call. So I'm going to look and see if there's a select. Which one was this? This was the birth certificate. I think there is. Home study, parent one, birth certificate document. We're going to show it to the clients, and we're not giving them a document for download here because they're uploading it. Mm-hmm.
So as long as I say show for clients, it will show on the portal. I don't have to do some other thing to connect a checklist to the portal. It's in the checklist. I'm saying shown for clients.
Yes. The only thing that has to be done, again, is just you have to trigger it on this family record, right? Which the triggering part can, I think, get missed by folks sometimes. So you need to just think through like, well, how do we do that? So the process could be, well, the application is received. And so we're going to have an auto action insert home study number one that says it's the original home study and the packet is sent, and that starts that home study process. Or if it's an updated home study, every day have an auto, like there's two ways of doing it. Either your team does it manually, right? Like I did. I came in here and I clicked add home study and I added it at the proper time. Or I can tell Sam look every day, and when there is a home study completed date that's 10 months ago, right? Whatever that, right? When this date is entered 10 months ago and the child arrived home date is not empty, or their case stage is active in adoption, insert a new home study with the packet sent date and make that process start to happen.
Okay. I'm still working on learning auto actions and how we can make them work to our advantage.
Yeah, I think the first thing to do, and I don't know what Steve thinks is true, but is set your process up, because then at the beginning, like when you're transitioning in different tables in the site, right? When there becomes like this process that is repeated, there's always a start and an end to every process. There's probably things in the middle, but there's always a start and an end to a thing. Those are good points in time to look for triggers of what happened before, who's responsible for, and how are we communicating that change in the process.
So I still have some people, I don't know how Steve's organization is, but I still have some people who can't seem to give me the steps of their process for me to build a checklist. But like my people, we have the inquiry, we have the application, we have the home study process. I have auto actions for us. Contracts paid, I get notified. It goes on my my homepage. I know to do it, that sort of thing. But I still have some people who can't seem to nail down their process.
I would consider breaking up the process then into like the top three things. Is it the adoption group or the expectant parent?
Yeah, it's really, I haven't even attempted with the international people. They're next. But like the domestic program people, when I say, so what's, they're trying to they want to keep track of the steps of their case and make sure they have documents in, like, okay, the match date. But the way they go about it is like a zigzag. So I'm trying to get them to.
That is true. I think
that I keep saying what you say about dates, like give me the date. So the date, okay, the match agreement is sent on what date? And so what comes next and what's the next date? It is like pulling teeth.
It is like a dance. it's very Paula Abdul, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I always find that people start going forward and then they're like, oh, but wait, but then we send this email and you're like, well, that needs to go. We have to put it in, which is why I actually always recommend taking this outside of SAM first because, or like we've had, so I generally use a Google Doc because I think that it's easy enough to move around and then it's electronic and I can copy and paste to put it into the system. But sticky notes give this like psych change where people feel like it's actually it's permissible to move it and adjust it because it's so flexible. It's not like once you write it down in pen, now I have to cross it out and move it back. Or if I type it in, like people aren't as slick, I guess, with moving, like just making more space if something has now been established that comes first. But sticky notes give that feeling that you can move it around.
That might be good.
Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion. Well, it depends on what. Karen, what is your role at your agency?
I'm Director of Administrative Services.
Are you the only admin for SAM?
No, but I'm the only admin who does anything in SAM. So the other admin just works in it. She hasn't helped me really build it, but that's okay. I'm probably the most tech savvy person. I'm the least, I mean, some people just get really intimidated about the building of it. Today, I do find it challenging that like, if somebody asks me to add something to a checklist section, I know how to go in and add that item because it doesn't automatically show up on future. Like if it wasn't there when you made it, it doesn't automatically show up. So I have learned how to add an item, like a follow-up date or whatever. And I finally showed someone else today how to do that for herself. So,
Right.
I mean, I think I need my team to start being more independent about it.
I know for me, it all started to come together when I realized, and I don't know if this is good or not, but I realized that it worked best for me to help them when I had to learn their process myself. It was hard for them to communicate it to me. I had to just like meet with them and figure it out for myself so that almost to the point where I could do what they're doing.
That's
then
what I actually just did. I kept stopping them and saying, okay, but stop. What date is this? Who's responsible? And
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and that's what it takes.
Painful.
And yep, it is very painful, but in the end, it made it easier for me though, because when something happens, I'll tell you right now that it was so hard to come up with auto actions when I wasn't like 100% confident and I knew what they were doing and what they were trying to tell me. It all came together once I knew what their process was. And then it unfortunately became more reactive than proactive. So I wasn't making things and hoping it worked. It was more about now, hey, I would love to get an email when this happens, or I would like to see this change when this happens. And because I've learned their process, it's a piece of cake. And I make it for them as we go rather than beforehand. It kind of all comes after the fact.
That means I'm getting onto the right track for them. And the other issue I have is they keep asking me. So we have like, a shared network drive where we keep all our forms and documents. And they keep saying, well, can Sam do this? Can Sam do that? I'm like, no. Like, Sam is not like it's about our process and sharing documents with families and uploading documents. It's not where it's not our flash drive. Sam is not our flash drive.
It can, you can save your documents on there. We actually have started doing it. We've started hosting all of our documents on there because we were having problems with our shared drive and people not necessarily having the updated form for things because it's located somewhere.
Are you putting that under organization documents, like your organization documents?
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can check it out if you want to.
But your site?
Yeah, I've been putting all the updated forms there, and I've communicated to everybody that these are where all of the most current forms are. So now people are getting them from there when they need a form.
Yep. So that is over here, and you're going into North Homes?
Yep, and the Bemidji's one is where they're all. Yeah.
So how do you have it organized? North Homes documents?
North Homes documents.
So there's a revision date, and it's just the documents, right?
Yeah, it's just for people to access the most current document for all these different things.
And you, I would say you don't, well, you do have it organized case management documents versus licensing documents.
Yep. And then I have respite ones at the bottom.
Oh, great. Yep. So he's used sub forms to organize by, he's got the document type in here is how he's organizing that. And so they're filtered. So looking at just documents that are filtered by the document type equals licensing in this section. So that, of course they can find it. And he does a really great job of putting these memos everywhere.
But it works well. I mean, like I said, we had people that were using outdated documents because they had them on their computer or in different spots on our shared drive. And to get rid of all that, we decided to put them all in one place only.
The clinical director literally just asked me that yesterday, and I didn't think we could do it. I wasn't thinking about
do so much.
Yeah,
Wow.
Sam is really good about, you can think outside the box and do a lot of cool things that you wouldn't expect on the surface.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what are other things that you're doing, Steve. You've got a support ticketing system with the system.
We keep track of our vehicle maintenance on SAM too.
Yeah, you're not the only agency that does like a ticketing system as well. I have Spence Chapin in New York does their marketing and communication requests. They've got a team of folks that do that, and people write in, I need this graphic done, and then it goes to them, and there's a whole process there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So I could have my whole billing request thing eventually. Okay.
Yeah, this is actually really beautiful. Good job on that, Steve. Looks
Thanks.
really good. What is your next project in the site?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
I recently worked on, remember the last time that we talked and I was asking you about the vertical alignment of like household members instead of horizontal?
Yeah. Can we show Karen that and this video? Yeah, it's actually really beautiful, and I haven't gone back. Is it under family?
Yes, under family, and you can just go to the first test record.
And so we're talking about household members over here.
Right.
Yeah.
I did this yesterday. So like the people that are living in the home are in this orientation here.
Yeah, I love this.
People that are not living in the home, but we have them tied to the license are at the bottom. And then in the sidebar to the right, the people that were at one point living in the home, but they're not tied to the license anymore are in the sidebar.
Cool. Okay. And so what the original discussion is these horizontal forms, I think, and probably Steve feels like similarly, is they are for single row like this is. They look really good, especially if they're stacked atop each other and they're all single row and the order is the same. Right? It looks really good. It's nice and clean. Once you start getting more data points, or you're looking at, I guess, like more important people, I guess this really puts that to me, Steve, is like Kimberly is in the home versus Tristan is like not in the home. Is just not as immediate as a person I need to look at, which I actually really love this look. Right. This side-by-side view, we can see Kimberly's information better. And I used to suggest all the time, like, oh, well, if you've got a ton of information, or many records, it's easier to see it like this in this horizontal layout versus a vertical layout. But when we played with this much, like, what do we have? 9 fields on here. We started to like how this looks, because this is a test record. So I'm going to add one more. There must be a field on here that says they're in the home as well.
Well, they're in the home, and then there's fields where they say, if you see on the right, those are the filters that I'm using to get them in the sections that I want them in. License, living outside the home or removed from license affiliation. Checking those boxes moves people from section to section depending on what you do.
Got it. Okay. So actually, I don't want her there or there. I want her, whatever, right here, this person here. And what one. Okay, so I'm gonna put them here. We actually felt like this looks pretty nice. I think both of us like how this looks versus like if you've seen horizontal forms where, because I think mine may still be set up like this. Williams is my family. Janet Michael. Trying to think, is it background checks or I may have set up my persons in home actually to look like yours. So I'm going to go like over here to the background checks. So these are single row, but once I come in here, this is horizontal as well. And I think this looks all right as long as these fields are lined up properly. Like if I put fingerprint date over here for what it relates to, it starts to skew it and then it becomes difficult to read. So you have to be really mindful when you're creating them, like horizontally, how it looks, because if it's too much on the form, users' eyes are distracted.
How do you have that expiration date in the background checks instead of just on documents? We're struggling with that because we put the background checks in, but then we have to go to like the document list to enter the expiration date.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. So I guess we need to, wish Sam had the perfect process for this. It might be actually entered in both, right? Because honestly, my understanding is it's like this and this and this and well, maybe not the authorization, but those three could actually have their own expiration dates. Like they come in
Correct.
at different times.
Correct. So do you think it's just fine to put it in the document list where we're doing it?
Absolutely. Because I think then you can use documents to say, here's all the documents that are going to expire. Now,
right.
Every year you're going to have a background check. So does that become super important? Yes, you need to know the expiration date, but if you are proactive in your process with the home study, right, at 10 months after or whatever your time period is, you're going to start the new process. Background checks are included in that next round anyway. And I did just get an auto action to work when you've got a home study. It's an updated home study. When I insert a new record, it inserts new background checks. I haven't been successful with getting it. It inserts them for parent 1 and parent 2. I have not been able to get it to work for people in the home. Right? Okay. How do you? Well, Steve, your folks only do it once. Is that right? Like each of these? Yeah, the background check's done once. That's it.
Yep. And the sub form for their background checks is in the details. I had it on here, but it was too much. It just became too much. So I took it out of this look.
Oh, it's over here.
Go to the details to see it. Yeah.
And so you're actually using this background checks per household member.
Yes.
Okay. And this is like a nice looking, in my opinion, it's like a nice looking, this is how Steve uses it too, right? So all of this consent form could be put on a checklist with the consent form date and the document listed there. I think because background checks particularly there's like an authorization form that the family does, they'll do their fingerprints, but then my understanding is everybody else's, your teams are sending to the state or the agency with whom you're doing the background check for, and you're getting the information. I think
it literally depends on the state.
That's true. It does depend on the state.
We're licensed in 9 states, but we're getting clearances from all 50 states, depending on where somebody lived and if they're doing international or domestic.
But you're getting them, right? They're coming to you. They're not going back to the family where the family's not going to upload it to you.
Honestly, it really depends.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Pennsylvania goes to the family. FBI goes to the family. Others come directly to us. So Rhode Island goes to the families. It really does vary by the state. I think.
Yep.
I'm not anticipating putting background checks in the portal for
the
families because there's not enough times where families upload documents, and I think that will just confuse them.
Okay.
Because they won't have control of enough of it, and I just think it would be a mess. Honestly.
Okay.
At least in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm taking the advice of, like, Steve's been using this a long time and he's still changing Sam and making it work for him. So I'm just trying to do part by part by part and make it grow over time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's already so incredibly helpful.
Oh, good.
I mean, just the pathetic amount of auto actions we do have are just so time saving and helpful and amazing. So if I can just maybe touch a little bit less paper every single day by having families upload some of their own documents. I think that would be great.
Right. Okay. Yes, the least amount of paper and the least amount of like emails that you have to do when it's a typical email, right? You don't need somebody to say to enter the data into the database and then send an email. They should enter the data into the database and the database sends an email off. That's what we should use auto actions for.
I do have an auto action right now because I don't have any social workers working in SAM yet. When docs are uploaded, I get an email. So I know to go check the file.
Okay.
So docs have been entered for blah, blah family, and I go check the file.
And that was an interesting conversation. I mean, I would love it if at the end of a checklist section, the family could tell you they can't. So on through the family portal, a couple of ideas that I have is having a field under each checklist section. So if we were going to jump back over here, let's say like in this family document process, you might have another field that's like, our home study documents are done. Family home study documents done. They click. Sorry, this is my kid just dropped. He's fine. Are you okay? Hold on one second. Let me actually check with him real quick. Hey, are you okay? Are you actually okay? He's I'm in the middle of a call.
It didn't sound very good.
No.
Come on. I'm in the middle of a call. Come sit. What did you do?
Do all your caseworkers work in your office and access SAM from your office?
Don't jump.
Yeah, well, right now, a lot of us are at home, but yeah, everybody works out of, we have a few different offices in Minnesota and they all work in SAM.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
So we're licensed in 9 states.
Yeah, we're just Minnesota.
And
we do some ICBC stuff, but we're based in Minnesota.
My issue is I have an army of social workers and it's a lot of users and people to train. And then how do you orient families to your portal? How do you teach them?
What I do is I bring them up on some sort of video platform. We use Teams now. So I bring them up, I set up a Teams meeting and I send them their login information first. They log into the portal, then I log into my test person on the portal at the same time. And then I'm able to visually see what I'm talking about to them. And I have them click through all the different sections with me to start with. And I put together
how long do you allot for that? How much time?
I don't know. It takes about an hour and a half or so to go through everything. And then inevitably they're going to have questions and that's fine. They can ask me, hey, how did you get to this? Or how did you get to that? But I have a lot of notes and a lot of hints, so it is pretty easy to step through. I think it helps that I don't have a ton of stuff in there right now so that they don't see a million things when they log in. They only see a certain number of things, and it's pretty easy to step through. So it's worked pretty well, honestly, so far.
Okay. Because I already do like a half-hour orientation just to walk people through the training and the home study packet, how to, do things. And I'm assuming I'm going to have to adjust my timeline for that to incorporate. Yeah, because I do mine by Zoom. I share the screen, that sort of thing. So I was just curious.
I think it depends how you set up your site. Steve's got his, again, with lots of forms, and there's lots of different things. He's made it very robust. I think Nightlight talks about a 30-minute call with families, but they are only on the checklist. So the family doesn't have to transition in between sidebar links.
Yeah, ours are sidebar links to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and this adoption process part, like this is the adoption table, right?
Yeah, that's the team I'm trying to work with. Mm-hmm. This is the page where I'm ready to punch myself in the head. Sorry.
That's okay. We've all been there. Yeah, we're all rooting for you because
it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. But I wonder, like, what are the main things, the big points? Get them used to that, right? Like, there's always this sort of like, is it all the way done? Or is it like using and now you see the value with it and then you keep building on? Which I think maybe the way that Steve did is like, gave a little bit and then you start using that and now you realize how much potential there is a little bit more and then you do a little bit more and you sort of, it's like project based building onto it instead of one gigantic project.
Yeah.
And it
I
will
agree,
never
and
be done.
that's started happening. Like now people will call me and say, can we have an auto action for this?
Great.
Can we add this document to that? Or so it is getting better.
Yeah, so now you probably want to keep some sort of figure out how to keep a list, and we can build that into SAM so they can add it there too if you want that. One of the things I'm looking at here though is all of these fields are based on the case, and these are really adoption based fields. Like many of these already exist, and they're all on the case. So all of these fields need to move off. They don't
case and onto adoption.
Oh gosh. So this has got a lot of stuff entered here. That's the same field. You've got a lot of fields entered here and you've got enough, but there's no adoption record. So there's no connection to the child. There's no connection to the birth parent. If it's a domestic adoption, there's no way to end this. Like, let's say that this adoption dissolved. You can't end it in the case and add a new adoption because now these fields will be filled in because they're on the case, right? Like there's no opportunity. So you're just not right now using SAM how it's set up by default on the adoption table with these fields. And so we need to talk through that. And I think a lot of this is what is the problem with
on the top
this.
Of all the
It actually is a lot of these sections. Well, how about this? So let's end here, and I would love to get a little feedback, a little thoughts from you. So our next webinar is March 31st, 10 a.m. So we're back on Wednesdays now that I'm like back from the beach. So I hope you guys can join that. That is just our community call. So it'll be very much this format of chit-chatting on what's important to you. And with that, I'm going to stop our recording and